So you can see I have my Zills on. So this class is Zills and Level 1 Fundamentals. So I'm not going to be using a whole lot of music this class. I might maybe do a song or two, possibly. But we're going to be relying most of the time on our Zills. So the pattern that I want to focus on for this class is the one we use most often. So it just made sense to me to get that pattern into our muscle memory and used all throughout this class. So hopefully it clicks, because we need right side and left side of your brain to work at the same time. So the longa is what we're going to do. So the longa is counted several different ways. If you are right-handed, you can do it as right, left, right. Okay? If you're left-handed, you could do it as left, right, left. Sounds the same, huh? If you are numbers oriented and you want to count it as 1, 2, 3, I want you to do that as well. Just know that if you get off beat at any point, just stop. Okay? Just stop zilling, keep dancing, and everything will get back on beat. All right? So, and the third or fourth way you can count this is and a 1. So I count it when I do my shimmy, which we're going to go over later. I count it as and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, because that's what goes best with hips. Okay? So the shimmy and this longo is kind of made for each other. So you don't have to. You can sit, you can stand, you can do whatever you want. I just more or less want your arms. We're going to be moving our arms a lot with our arm sweeps to get this Zill pattern in all directions. Okay? So 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. If for some reason, while you're zilling, you land up going da-da-da, da-da-da, like you're doubling up on the one hand, the end of the world will not come. Just stop zilling and try to regroup and grab your zills back to that right, left, right, right, left, right, or like I said, if you're left-handed, left, right, left, left, right, left. It'll be totally fine. Okay? Don't beat yourself up over them. It's totally in your wheelhouse and you'll get it. All right, so we're going to start here. Performance angle here. We're going to just work with our arm sweeps and arms on position 1 and up on position 2 and then down at our hips here. Okay? So 5, 6, we'll start. So 7, 8. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Little tips. When you're doing your zills, use your entire hand. If you use your entire hand, what's going to happen is you're going to get a bigger sound. All right? So if you're trying to do your zills down here, see how it's more of a clappy sound? So what you're doing is you're basically clapping those zills together. And you don't want to do that. You want to actually have it so it's big. So use your entire hand. you want the clap sound, if you want the clap sound, while you're using your entire hand, you are more than welcome to. So when you're doing your zills, using that entire hand, if you want to make a clapping sound, clap, 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 all you have to do is take your zill and kind of bury it into your fingers here, and then clap your zills together. So you'll get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Three, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so it does sound more like a clapping sound, hence why they're called claps. If you want to hear more of a ticking sound, you're going to take your thumb and you're going to take that zill into your hand, like this. And then you're going to take that same buried zill that you had in your first finger and your ring finger, and you're going to clap them together. So you're going to hit this edge here of the zill onto the base of your main zill here. So it's going to sound 1, 2, 3. So you can hear. So it's more of a ticking sound than a clap. So you have your clap, you have your tick, and you have your ring. So I hit mine off to the sides. Everybody will hit them differently, depending on how your hands are. So you can see I play mine actually off to the sides. And if you look closely at my zills in person, you'll see that they're actually curled because I've been doing that for so long. All right, so back to the zill drill. We're going to do it for just a little while and get our zills going, and then we're going to go straight into our movements. All right, so 5, 6, performance angle and posture. 5, 6, 7, 8. That when you do the clap and the tick, your muscles in your arm feel a little, they feel it. They really feel like they're working here. When you're doing the ring, that big hand, what you're basically doing is taking this middle finger, and you're dropping it onto your zill. So the only only muscles you're using is to pull it back up. Okay, so you're letting it drop, and you're pulling it back up, drop, pulling it back up, drop, pulling it back up. When you actually do the clap and the tick, you're using all your hand muscles and those forearm muscles to slap your zills together. So it's a little bit more taxing on your arms to do that here because you're really clapping them there. Okay, so if you're just doing that ring or the ring sound, the ba-da-ba, 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 it's a lot less taxing on your hands. So that's why when we dance, We don't normally use that click or that tick or the clap. Those two we usually use when we're doing a Moroccan 6 or when we're trying to add accents. So I would think that it would be more of a chorus type zilling for me. Or if I want to hear my students in the background, I want to hear how they sound when they're zilling, I'll go to the tick so I can hear, and then everybody will stop zilling. So it's really great. But okay, so like I said, that is the 3 that we're gonna work on, that longa, and we're gonna add that to our movements now. So there have been some name changes of our movements. So I'm gonna try to remember to put those name changes in, and I'll also say what the old name used to be. It used to be very easy to get this drill in. I used to call it the peas drill, the pivot bump, Egyptian, Arabic, and shimmy. But since the movements have changed their name, it is now the pivot bump or the choo-choo, the swivel hip, the rhythmic undulation, and the shimmy. So I haven't quite figured out an acronym for that. So yeah, pivot bump, choo-choo, swivel hip, rhythmic undulation, and shimmy. I got nothing. So I will come up with something because peas was always really fun to say. Peas and Q's. All right. So the first movement we're going to go into is our rhythmic undulation. Sorry, guys. All right. So in our slow workshop, we worked on engaging our chest with that chest lift and then the chest drop down. So we're basically disengaging our chest from our lower body so that way we can have a nice body wave. So that rhythmic undulation is nothing more than the body wave, and then you're adding rhythm to it. So you're adding your foot motion to it. So there is no kick. There is no gremlin under your skirt that you have to kick out. And I will show you why you don't want to do it, and I'll show you how that affects the actual movement. So we're here. It's done in your default performance angle here at that 10 o'clock. Knees are bent, and this one is done on the balls of your feet. You can do it flat foot if you have to. Sometimes I have to, but I'll show you that too. So up on that balls of your feet here. It's a 2 count movement. So your footwork on this is going to be nothing more than stepping forward and then putting your left foot down. So right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. So you're just changing weight on your feet, and you're just rocking basically from your right foot to your left foot to your right foot to your left foot. It's a 2 count movement, but we always count our 2 count movements as 4s or 8s, so don't count it as 2, it'll be weird. But if you are ever off on your count, you can come to this, add a quick 2, and call it good. The cue for this is your arms come from they can go from above your head or shoulder height. Just come down, cue here at the hip, and then come back up to above your head. So cue down, leading with those elbows, coming up, cue down, leading with those elbows, coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Add your zills. I did that at a full 8 count. It can be done at a 4 count if your music is calling for that. What I mean is you can go. So you're actually going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to depend on 2 things. 1, what your music is calling for, how fast the music is. It's also going to be dealer's choice. So since it is all improv and cue based, if your leader's doing it at that 4 count, to get your arms above your head. Don't panic. Just follow whatever your leader does, okay? All right, so when you step forward on that right foot, your chest rises up, okay? So you're going to release your, not release, but soften and engage your muscles at the same time to bring that chest up, heart up on that step. So you're here. So 1, 2, roll down, 3, 4. 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 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't lose the top when you're doing your aerobic. Sometimes when the momentum gets going, it can turn into just this, where you're actually not using your chest. See, it's moving a little bit because it's a sympathetic motion, and it's actually kind of just rolling around with what your body's doing. But really accentuate that chest to give it a greater appearance on stage and more dynamic. What I was saying about the gremlin kick from your skirt, I used to have a bad habit of doing this, but I realized it was dropping my hip. So when you're doing your feet, they should be right next to each other. That keeps you here in a nice linear path, right? Going straight up and down. If you do that little gremlin kick, see how I drop? See how it makes me drop a little bit? And you don't want to do that. So that little kick there, it makes you add and gives you kind of a level. So you want to make sure that you're just going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So your feet should stay underneath you. So there's nothing under your skirt that you have to kick away. All right. So 5, 6, no zills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Add our zills here, and I have seen in the past people doing a back kick with their rhythmic undulation. And so I'm going to show it to you. If you're doing it, I want you to feel it. So what I mean, it's a little back kick on your left. So it'd be 1, 2, see how it's throwing back? That kick, back, back. So with an emphasis on the back of your hips. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep everything in a nice straight line, feet underneath you, knees bent, nice straight linear pose. All right. This does turn to the left and to the right. I use turn signals when I do turn. So if I'm wanting to go to the left, you'll see my left arm come down just a little bit, and then we'll just aerobic to the left. If I want to go to the right, you'll see my right arm come down a little bit, and that means I want to aerobic to the right, and that just goes in a personal circle. Since it is a 2-count movement, it's kind of a flock of birds, so even though you have the intentions of going down around quicker or slower, watch the people behind you, because since it is a flock of birds, they can slow it down or speed it up. It's kind of tricky that way. Right? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with your zills. One of the other things is with your arms. Make sure your arms are back and you're not covering your face. So you don't want to be like this. So you want to make sure your arms are back. So when you do that personal circle here, your arms are here, and so this is what you should always see from the audience perspective. And then when you come back to front, everything comes back to alignment. If you think of your arms being here, and what is aligned is my elbows and my ears. If I keep them like this, I can actually see what's going on in front of my arms. If my arms fall this way, I can't see, or especially if they're down even lower, then you just look like you're flying. So be careful on that, especially when you turn. For some reason, when you go into a personal circle, one arm will always want to drop. So set your arms, get them here, turn here, and then when you get back to your front, come back to your Arabic or rhythmic undulation arms. Okay? 5, 6, 7, 8. On just flat foot. If you can't stay on the balls of your feet, if you have foot problems, if you have ankle problems, or if you have leg problems, that is totally 100% okay. What you need to do, and this will go with your shimmy, your swivel hip, this will go with everything. You need to hiccups. Whew, I'm going to have the hiccups for the rest of the day now. Whew. What you need to do is bend those knees and get into your feet. So you don't do one up, one down. Just really commit to a flat foot. So if you're here and you need to do a flat foot, it's still that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But you have to make sure that you're not relying on your hips. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All just an illusion that you're still up on the balls of your feet. So if you have to, just sink down. You don't want to straighten your legs when you're doing your Arabic, because then that'll turn into this, and that's where you get that rocking from. So bend the knees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can do it on flat foot if you're not able to stay on the balls of your feet. Okay, moving right along. Into our pivot bump choo-choo. The name of this one has not changed, thankfully, because I don't know what they would call it. They'd probably call it the scooch step or something, but pivot bump or choo-choo. Same movement. The only thing that makes it different is the pivot bump turns in a circle. Turns to your left and turns to your right. The choo-choo usually stays in place, but if it does not, it goes forward, but it does not go backwards. So the cue for that choo-choo, say you're in your Arabic here, what'll happen is you're on your balls of your feet for your Arabic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You'll see this flat foot, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that cue is that right arm dropping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is split arm position 1. This is split arm position 2. The pivot bump portion of this movement moves to the right on split arm position 1 only. So it'll turn to the right on that split arm position 1. It'll move to the left on split arm position 1 as well as split arm position 2. This is one of the reasons why I don't do my Arabic with my arms down, is because sometimes in the adrenaline of the music and whatnot, you can actually get these a little bit confused if the footing is not right. So sometimes we rely a lot on the arm cues. So if I ever see this happening, this will throw me off every time. I'll just think you're choo-chooing or something's wrong. But so yeah, split arm position 1, split arm position 2, I save those for my choo-choo and my pivot bump. So choo-choo, left arm up in the air, right arm into that right front corner, nice soft curve here. Left knee bent, right knee bent, the toes right next to your left foot. So you're here. You're going to take your right hip, you're going to bump it up, and then you're going to bring it back down to neutral. So having your knees bent stops you from doing this, because you don't want to straighten this left leg out every time you do a hip bump up. So you're here, and it's just that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there should be no hip dropping this way. Your left hip will work a little bit. If you actually look at my hips here, it goes up above neutral here, and this left hip goes a little bit below. But when I bring this right hip back down, then they both even out. So it goes a little below neutral, but not as much as that right one does above. Okay, so you are using this hip a little bit, not much. It's all pretty much a sympathetic motion that is just happening as you do your hip bumps, okay? The closer your feet are together here, the easier it's going to be able to maintain this nice, crisp hip bump. If your foot's out here, you're going to land up having a hip bump that's a little bit different. This is a move in a different style of belly dance. For ours, it's right here, and it's just crisp up, 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 okay? Arms, like I said, that cue here and going out. So 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you notice your left glute getting a little bitey from doing that for too long, bend your knee down farther. That will take some of that pressure away from your glute and help to use your knees as more of a shock absorber. So okay, with Zills, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you notice that I was getting down a little bit lower when I was doing that because this was getting a little bit burny. The performance angle that we do our choo-choo in is indeed our default 10 o'clock, we just open our body up a little bit more. So our default 10 o'clock is here, right? And that's where we do our Arabic. So when you go to your choo-choo, you just open up your body a little bit more. But you can see this foot here didn't change. So if I'm here for my Arabic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because you still want to do the hip presentation. And if you think back to when we do performance angle and we're in this position and we open that arm this way and engage that back to open up to the audience, that's the concept you're using when you're doing your choo-choo. So yeah, so that's the concept you're using when you do your choo-choo. So if you're going from your Arabic, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. It didn't change my performance angle. I just opened up to the audience there. All right, so when we turn this to the right or the left, going to the left is a little easier than going to the right. We'll do going to the right last. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're just going to step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Switch arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're more or less literally pivoting yourself around. So if you're here, you're just, that hip or the foot in the ground is your hip going up. Pardon me. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're using that left foot as a pivot, right? When you go to the right, it's a little trickier because your body all of a sudden gets thrown off balance because we're kind of throwing ourselves in the opposite direction, not able to see where we're going. So if we're here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you go to the right, you're pivoting on the ball of your left foot. When you go to the left, you're pivoting on the heel of your left foot. Okay? So here, let me pick my pants up a little bit. So if we're here, I'm on my heel, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm pivoting on that heel in order to be able to keep myself up. What happens if you try to pivot on the, or if you have your foot too far away and you're pivoting on your whole flat foot, if you're here and you have your foot over here when you go to pivot, what's going to happen is you're going to end up leaning over to the side. And that's because your right foot is actually pushing you off your center. So just have your foot here, and it's my toes are at my heel. So toes at my heel, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't try to have your toes in front so you're pushing yourself, because that's where, see how I'm losing my balance and I'm landing up, being a little bit of a tilt. So you want to make sure that you have your toes at your heel when you go to the right. Right? Pivoting on that heel. Going to the left is pivoting on the balls of your foot. And again, flock of birds, so don't get too caught up on what the count is. So 5, 6 with zills. the next one we're gonna go into. So that's swivel hips, the next one we're going to. I think that's really all with your choo-choo and pivot bump. Just those concepts. Keeping those knees bent. Whoa, hi. Yes.
So one comment and one question.
Mhm.
The first comment is the idea of like when you do like the backwards turn of being on the heel is a big deal for me because I think I've always struggled with that one, and it's because I kept my foot too flat. I was trying to be on the ball of my foot, I think.
Yeah.
So that was great.
You're welcome.
and then my question is, what is the ideal weight distribution on both hips when you're doing this move?
So, honestly, the way I do it, I have very little weight on my actual hip up for my choo-choo. And the reason why is because you want to make sure that you're getting your choo-choo hip from your oblique and your hip flexor and not out of the ground. So, if you have it coming out of the ground like that, what's going to happen is when you turn it, it's going to sound, so it looks like I'm actually stomping through it. If you have very little weight on here, even no weight at all, and you're just getting it from your hip and your obliques, when you go around, you're going to have, it's just enough to keep you balanced. So when you go backwards, it's a little bit more, because going backwards balancing, you have to actually keep this foot, your right foot, on the floor a little bit longer. So on that heel. So yeah, so when you're going backwards on that, you have a little bit more weight on there. So I would say it's almost like a 60-40 split, like going to the right here, I have 60% of my weight on my left foot and 40% on my right, and that's just because I need this kickstand to keep me straight. When I go around to the left, it's more probably an 80-20, where I have 80% of my weight on my right foot and then this 20% on my left foot, and that's just helping me pivot around. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, so yeah, you're not stomping through it. And what happens with the stomp too, you get used to it, and then you'll start doing it here too. So you'll see sometimes, thank God for skirts, because sometimes you'll actually see that happening under a skirt if you can get a peek of the feet. So yeah. All right. Good. All right, we're going to move on to our swivel hip. One thing I wanted to touch on with your choo-choo and your pivot bump, I like big swoopy arm cues. It's clearer for me to see, and it's not so abrupt. So even though I know that going into here is my choo-choo, chances are you're never going to see me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You won't ever see me transition like that. And the reason why is because I like that big sweepy, cursive-y type feel. So you'll normally see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it also directs your audience for where you want them to look. So if you're in your Arabic here, you don't want them all of a sudden to be like, hey, look over there, right? You want them to be like, here, you're looking at me here, and then look at all this, and this is what else I want to show you. So you're just kind of letting them see something else and directing their eyes down and then over. So is this wrong? No. You just won't usually see me do it. So, all right. Gonna go into our swivel hip, formerly known as the Egyptian. We're not gonna do the half turn or any of the others. We'll just do the swivel hip itself. So let's go over the arms first on your swivel hip. Arms above your head here at that secondary position 2 here. So when you're bringing your arms down for your Egyptian, you're going to be moving on a diagonal plane. So your left hand arm will go into your left corner here above your head, and your right one will go into a corner behind you. And then when you come back to neutral, and then they'll switch. So I like to pretend that there is another square on top of my head. I have a lot of pretending. But with that, I remember before it was pulling taffy or rubber bands at your wrist. However it's going to help you remember, that's what I want you to do. So your arms are here. So it's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're not necessarily moving your front arm as much as you are moving your back arm and actually your lat and your trap. So if you're here, right, when I move that right arm back, my left arm kind of comes forward, but it's not me doing this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So it's more of a sympathetic move, your proprioceptors working together to keep you balanced. Your arms themselves are not pumping. So you're not pumping, pumping, pumping. You're actually using your back muscles here to bring that arm down. So your back engaged there. Release it back up. Engage your left lat here, and then release. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So really use those back muscles. In our first class, we talked about those arm muscles or those back muscles when you were doing your overhead arm undulations. So those muscles are one and the same. They're going to help you be able to do a stronger Egyptian arm and actually be able to maintain it for a longer period of time. For your feet, it's not a giant step. So you don't want to do your Egyptian as 1, 2, 3, 4. So you want to just make sure your box is small. Keep your feet under you as much as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I turn sideways, you'll see just 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, like I said, you don't want to have a giant step out. Harder to control those hips and the angle you want to go at. So you're going to take your right foot, step it and turn it to about 1 o'clock on your clock face. Turn those toes to noon, which straightens your knee in front. Then you're going to take your right hip and bring that right hip up to noon. Bring it back to neutral, and then step that right foot down. So your left foot will step here at about 10 o'clock. It'll come up. Bring that knee to as close to noon as you can. Take that hip, swivel it up, and then bring it back down to neutral and step with that left. So your clock face is here. Your Egyptian is, or sorry, Rhythmic Undulation is done in a secondary performance angle, which happens at 11 o'clock. So performance angle is here at 10. Secondary performance angle is here at 11 o'clock. Okay, so you're going to step, like I said, about 1 o'clock. Turn your toes and your knee to noon, and then bring that hip up as much as you can forward. Come back to neutral and step. Here, it's going to be at 10 o'clock. You're going to turn that knee as close to noon as you can. Bring that hip up without doing this. So you're here, knee is straight. Bring the hip up, bring it back down to neutral, and then step. Your left presentation is not going to be as big as your right presentation because performance angle is here. So we'll be here as opposed to here. Okay, so you're never going to get your left Egyptian hip right there. And that's okay. Just don't force it and it'll be fun. All right. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Egyptian is a 4-count movement. Sometimes I'll count it as 4, sometimes I count it as 8. It's just going to depend. If I count it as 4, I'm counting footsteps. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. If I count it as 8, it'll be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I guess it'll always be 4, unless you do it twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So it's a 4-count move. Do it twice, it's 8. Oh, I know I was going to count it. So you can count it as 1 and 2. So you can count it as 2 or you can count it as 4. That makes any sense. So it'd be 1 and 2 and. But you'd be using that and kind of as a placeholder. It's easier just to keep it as 4. All right. When your right hip goes forward, that's when your right arm goes back and gives you that nice opposition of muscles and that nice, long, exaggerated line. Okay? Come back to neutral here. When your left hip goes forward, then you have that same look here on the left side. And then it goes back to your neutral. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One thing that I will say is helpful to most people is pick up your feet on each count. If you're trying to do your Egyptian as 1 and here, where you're not picking your feet up at all, it's going to land up feeling weird and looking a little weird too. Because you'll end up just pushing out, pushing out, pushing out. So literally pick up your feet every time. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So toe, flat, toe, flat, toe, flat, toe, flat. That's going to help you keep count and keep rhythm a little bit easier. We're going to add our zills to that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Does it feel okay with your zills? I like to teach the movements along with zills, even if it's rough. I like to do it that way because that way you learn the movement and the Zill at the same time, so that way it's not so, your brain doesn't overthink it and can't complicate it. Learning your movements and your zilling at the same time, it really does help. Even if you are a weak ziller, just keep zilling along with your movements. The more you do it, the more it's going to become natural. Even if you're not zilling and just doing the movements, having those zills on your hand is going to help tenfold. Okay, so our shimmy. We had talked about before how you count your zills. You can count as 1, 2, 3. You can count as right, left, right. You can count as left, right, left. Or you can count them as and a 1. So this is our shimmy portion. So I want to get at least a good, probably 10 minutes of shimmy at least to get them into your hips and in your hands. So the shimmy and the zilling go hand in hand. Your hips with your shimmy are going and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay? Feet are simply going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's as hard as shimmy feet get. If you are a flat-footed shimmier, it's totally okay. Bend your knees, and it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our shimmy is traditionally done on the balls of your feet here, and it's nothing more than 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's as complicated as your feet will get. So in your head, what I want you to think about is just like with our toxine. We had talked about a weight shift. So that weight shift goes to your right, goes to your left, goes to your right, and goes to your left. So I want you to think of that weight shift when you're doing your shimmy, because it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Think of it: weight shift, 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 weight shift. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that little bit of a weight shift is actually going to help propel your shimmy hip up. Because when you step on that shimmy, it's going to happen. So your shimmy comes from your weighted foot. It doesn't come from your unweighted foot. So if you think of it that way, it should be a little bit easier. Your hips are the and, your foot is the 1. Okay? So we're here. So I'm just going to count it out, no zills. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Weight shift, weight shift, weight shift, weight shift. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And a weight shift, weight shift, weight shift, weight shift. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Alright, so if your hips are becoming a little wonky, if you think of that weight shift as you walk, weight shift, weight shift, weight shift, weight shift, alright, that's going to help you to at least start your shimmy. Because what happens sometimes is when we go to walk it, we end up doing this weird thing where we're trying to like shimmy or shuffle our feet to match our hips, and that's not going to happen. So think of weight shift, and that weight shift, that first weight shift, that's where you're pushing your hip. Okay, that's where that beginning of that shimmy is going to come from, is that weighted foot. Okay, so we're here. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Weight shift, weight shift, weight shift, weight shift. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. You're switching weight. Left foot, right foot, left foot. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Push the hip, push the left, push the right, push the left. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. What your hips are actually doing is they're going up, down, up, and up, down, up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't like counting your hips as 1, 2, 3 because then that will confuse your feet because your feet are going 1, 2, 3, 4, and your hips are going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's a little complicated. So if you just think of a and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Like I said, if you do things on the balls or flat-footed, just bend your knees a little bit more. Keep your knees together. Tighten those thighs together, and that's where your shimmy is going to come from. Okay. Questions? Good. All right. We're going to do a little bit of a drill with our shimmy and our zills. And then we'll put all 4 movements together, and we'll be done. All right, hang on. 5, 6, 7, 8. Shimmy, in 2 ways, here at tabletop or above your head. When you turn it, we usually put our arms above our head, and it does do personal circles to the left and to the right. When we're stationary, it's normally here. You can go forward like this, you can go backwards like this. If you wish to fade, which is a totally different class, those arms go back up while you're fading. But for right now, we're just going to do arms above your head, and then at tabletop. Okay, we're going to add all the other movements into it now. 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is the end of this fundamentals fast and Zill workout. So not bad for an hour. We got it all in. So if you have any questions on anything that you need to break down a little bit further, or explain a little more, or even show you a little more, message me, or you can email me, whichever one you'd like to do. But remember, keeping your performance angle and keeping that posture is going to help immensely with all the movements that we do. Check in with yourself. If anything feels uncomfortable with your lower back or your knees or your arms or even your neck, check in with where your body is on your performance angle, and that should be, you should be able to adjust yourself. Once you check back in, you realize what's going on, and then you just kind of adjust it back to get back in line. If you're ever off on count, your choo-choo, your shimmy, and your aerobic are wonderful movements to put yourself back on count. Your choo-choo is the best because it's one count move, so you could do 3 of them, and no one would be the wiser on that. Your longa, your 3 zills, keep practicing those. The better you get at them, the more you will like your zills. I love my zills a lot. I tighten my zills a lot. And so my fingers are a little bit black right now. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got something, a little bit of something, a little nugget of something that will help with either teaching other people or something that just wasn't clicking in you, in your body. Hopefully I can help make it click. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. If you took the rest of the workshops, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. Bye, guys.